giving it out. They were selling it.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. So we're celebrating some miracles. We're at the second day of Sivan today here, and we're learning Parshas Bamidbar, 1991. We're getting ready for the receiving the Torah. And we're at the conclusion, the final conclusion of this wonderful Sikha. So we'll sum it all up.
Yay.
And it's how to get ready for receiving the Torah, basically, because when they came to the Midbar Sinai, the desert of Sinai, that's when they received the Torah. And there's a significance. Remember, we learned at the beginning of the Sikha why they had to come to the desert. It's a desert, specifically, is a place, remember, that people aren't settled there. It's very unsettling. It's hard to live in the desert. It's not where people feel calm and relaxed necessarily, unless there's a built-up place like you have nowadays where they have spas and everything. But in general, to go live in a desert is not easy. Yeah, and specifically there, the Torah was given. So one of the lessons that the Rebbe says is that Torah was given to actually create calm and bring calm into the world. And so the lesson is that Torah can even bring calm to a place where it's unsettled and not calm and hard to settle there and hard to be calm. So Torah can bring us to the state of calm no matter what, no matter where, no matter how, right? So that's like one lesson about coming to the Midbar, which is this portion. But let's see, I think we're up to Yud or Yud Aleph. No, we're up to Yud Aleph. So the Rebbe is saying, what is the final, like the concluding lesson that we can learn from everything that we've been learning this week? The Rebbe is saying that Torah is, since it's being given every year again, I think we read this, anew, right? Remember we said, and the Rebbe said in a way that it's because why? Because Torah is not in the heavens, it says. Torah was given to us down here below on the earth. And it's adding, increasing. Remember, every year we get more of the giving of the Torah. So the Rebbe says, in a way, that what's added in the menucha in the world, the calmness, that it can bring more calm to the world. Therefore, since Torah has the power to bring even more calm to the world, therefore it's understood that Jewish people need to receive this Torah anew, in a new way, and see Torah every day, like it's new today, it's newly given to us today, until it's really actually new, in a way that we can comprehend Torah in a way down here in our brains, down here below in the body, until we can actually tangibly accept and receive the Torah. Especially this year, we mentioned this. When we go from this Shabbos, we go from Shabbos straight into Matan Torah. That was in 1991. Then there's the two extremes. We have Kabbalat Torah Mechdash Mitoch Hakara B'Noten Torah. We receive the Torah on one side that Hashem. The one extreme is that Hashem is giving us the Torah, and we recognize Hashem as the giver of the Torah. And the Torah is the goal and the purpose for which the whole creation was created. So this can bring us calm, right? We know everything in the world was created for the Torah. So if our goal is to keep Torah and mitzvahs and to enhance Torah and mitzvahs, we're always striving towards the purpose of the whole creation of the world. So we're congruent with what we're supposed to be doing, why we're here. So that brings us more calm, knowing that we're here within the goal of creation. Okay, and the total alignment with the goal of creation. So this brings chiddush. Now, so that's on one side. The other side, the Torah is the goal of creation. So it brings not just ourselves to our calmness and our tranquility and our service of Hashem and settled, but it also brings menucha in the world, to the entire world. Together that we can draw down this menucha, this settlement, in all the details of the mitzvahs, and all the details of our energies that we have, our powers that Hashem gives us. Every aspect, the details of our service. Until we bring it to all the details in the world. So remember we said there was two extremes. One is that in general we know we're connected and aligned with the whole purpose of creation. And that's that it's Hashem's will and wisdoms in the Torah. And we're aligned with that we're connected with the giver of the Torah. And there's one main aspect and one main goal. On the other hand, we're drawing this energy of tranquility. The Rebbe says also, since we're aligned with the main goal, and that's our underlying theme in life, our overall theme, therefore, when we're dealing with all the details, we can also be calmer and more settled. And knowing that this is all part and parcel of every little detail is part of what Hashem wants. It's part of our main goal of bringing Hashem into the world through Torah. So this also, we can start and show this how, when we add a chiddush in our learning, when we get an insight, from an awareness that Hashem is giving us the Torah. So when we have this, when we have a chiddush with this underlying recognition that it's Hashem who's giving us the Torah, then our chiddush is on a different playing field. Okay, it's a sight with the whole total picture in mind. Especially through learning the inner dimensions of Torah that we have chiddushim, because it says in through Pnimis Torah, through the inner dimensions, Chassidus, we come to Dat Elokei Avicha ve'avdei b'lo Hashem. We come to know Hashem and be able to serve Him with the whole heart. Okay, so that's the purpose of, I guess, of Chassidus specifically. It brings us to knowing Hashem and serving Him with the full heart. And together with that, we also, Chassidus also helps us learn Torah in our mind, with our brain, not just with our heart, but knowing Hashem and knowing the Torah with our brain. So there's a wholeness of coming towards knowing Hashem through learning Torah. So simply put, there says, what's the instructions for what we've been learning? Each and every Jewish person should add a chiddush, something new, an awareness, an understanding, in quantity and quality, in his learning of Torah. So every person is supposed to try to internalize, integrate, make it relevant to such a degree, make understanding, so you can come to your own chiddush, your own like aha moment. Okay, whether it's learning that everybody needs to learn, that's equal for everybody, like chitas, chumash, tehillim, tanya. It's something that the Rebbe asked everybody to learn every day. Including ethics of our fathers, which we read during the summer. There says it's also good to learn the Pirkei Avos, at least one Mishnah or two Mishnahs, more in depth. So when we read the Pirkei Avos on Shabbos afternoon, to try to also at least learn one in depth. I'm just going to open a window. Welcome Fruma, and welcome Martha, I believe. Mm-hmm. Welcome. Okay, we're finishing this Sicha, Pashas Bamidbar, almost done. Okay, so this is very exciting because this was a wonderful Sicha. So everyone wants us to make chidushim, create our own understandings, our own insights, and that's what we're learning, the regular everyday learning, to increase in the everyday learning and the learning that we read on Shabbos during the summer months of Pirkei Avos, and to learn it both just by reading it and also learning at least one or a few Mishnahs of ethics of our fathers at more in depth. Also with the chitas that we learn, lilmod b'chol yom et shir chumash, to learn every day the chumash, as it's divided into the days of the week. So on Sunday we read from Rishon to Sheni, and on Monday from Sheni to Shlishi. Okay, so we read a little bit of the Torah portion for that day, And Shiur Tehillim, Kafishin Achlak Limei Chodesh, the Tehillim, as it's divided up to the days of the month. So every day at the end of davening, we say Tehillim according to that day of the month. And the Shir Tanya is divided according to the days of the year. So approximately 365 days, depending if it's a leap year or not. There's 2 tracks of learning Tanya, but we learn every day a little portion of Tanya, and by the end of that year, we finish it, whether it's a leap year or a regular year. And this is what's this called Shava L'chol Nefesh. It's equal for everybody. So these 3 aspects, Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya, are connected to the 3 shepherds, the Rebbe calls them, that are connected to the festival of Shavuos. Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah, so he gave the Chumash, he gave the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, it's called. Tehillim is connected to King David. He wrote Tehillim, and he passed away. He had Nistalk, he had an Aliyah, and Atzeres on Shavuos. And Tanya, which is an explanation of, right, explained through the Baal Shem Tov, comes from the Baal Shem Tov, Shegam Yom HaYilula Shalohu B'Chag HaShavuos, and the Baal Shem Tov's Hilula Yortzeit is on Shavuos. In our shul in Miami Yisrael, where I daven, make a big deal out of Shavuos, especially the Kiddush, I'm sure, in other places, because it's the Hilula of the Baal Shem Tov, and it's called Miami Yisrael in name of the Baal Shem Tov. So very special auspicious day to renew our commitment, God willing, to learn Chumash with Rashi, Tehillim every day, and the Tanya every day, as it's divided up, like we read here. Especially also in addition, it's good and proper to learn Rambam Maimonides. It's divided. So for the men, it's 3 chapters a day, or 1 chapter per day. And for the women, the Sefer HaMitzvos, the book that counts the mitzvahs. And then each person has their own different personal portions of Torah learning that they do. Like in this class, we learn the Torah Malchus every day, and we learn the Parsha of that week. We try to start and finish the Parsha we usually do of each week. Sometimes we do even more. Like this week, God willing, we're going to do a little bit more. And each person according to their ability. Yud Bais, okay, back בעניין זה השפה בכתובה בקשר מזמור מתן תורתנו, יש להציע לעודד אודות עניין נוסף, לפרסם ולהדפיס חידושי תורה. So that was now adding one more thing that's very important. The Rebbe was very, very much interested to add in learning in a very specific way. Also, and he aroused them again and again. He's saying it's good to arouse them and encourage again something more. 2, that people should advertise, publish their chidushei Torah, their insights in Torah. Go back down, and he's giving an introduction. Every Jewish person does have an ability to make a chiddush in their learning, and not only as a chiddush, they have a chiyuv, an obligation. To increase in it. וכוסקתי נתמר זקן בחותם התורה לחדש חידושי הלכות רבות לפי רוחב שיש בלבו וישוב דעתו. Alter Rebbe, in his book of Shulchan Aruch, which is the Code of Jewish Law that Alter Rebbe wrote, he brings in the laws of learning Torah that a person is supposed to make chidushim in halacha לפי רוחב שיש בלבו, according to the breadth of a person has in his heart, וישוב דעתו, and how much settled their mind is. Each person has their portion in the Torah, like we each have our letter in a Sefer Torah, each one of us, we each have our portion in the Torah. Give our portion in the Torah, it says, that he has a strength and a power to be a student, which makes chidushim in Torah. Yeah. Okay, in previous generations, people were very careful and cautious. They were cautious about making the Chiddush in Torah. Even when it wasn't to actually direct how to keep a halacha Torah law. Even if it was just, intellectual insights that doesn't have anything ramifications to how you're supposed to keep Torah. When it came to writing insights and Torah, writing that, people were cautious about who writes and when they write it and what they write. Especially when it came to advertising or to printing it, the Rebbe said they were extremely cautious. And the attitude was, and the action was, that if not everybody can do it. Only after they had certain conditions that could show that their insights were actually really mekuvanim, were on target to the truth of Torah. However, this is not this way in Bedot, Sharafes, and later generations. Ad Bedoin is until our generation. Yes, the Rebbe says we do need to be careful and cautious. We have to be more cautious. Not everybody who writes a lot in Torah, or somebody who writes an insight in Torah, you can rely on him. On the other hand, because our generation has gone down, every generation, the generation goes down lower and lower. We need to find different ways to increase in our learning, in a way that will make Torah grand and great, including publicizing things. So the Rebbe is making a broad statement. He says, yes, not everybody's insights are necessarily good. Not everybody's halacha psakim are necessarily can rely on. However, because we're in a time where we need to find ways to encourage people to, yes, publicize, advertise Torah more. Therefore, they were saying, go for it. He wants people to not stop themselves. Good people need to write chidushim. Insightful people, when you have a good insight, don't say, well, it might not be correct, it might not be on target, and then to stop it from coming out. Everyone wants it to come out. So the Rebbe is saying it's good to encourage all those who could have insights and chidushim in Torah, as long as it's being learned according to the laws of the Torah, simply put. So even if they're not for sure that, let's say it's a good insight, if our insights are really according to the truth and attuned to the truth of Torah, so says you shouldn't stop yourself from writing it. You should try to write them. As long as the Rebbe says, as long as it's going according to the rules of Torah, and there's laws and rules of how to determine Torah law. So even if a person's not sure, he says still write it down. And in the and when you and to publicize and to write, not in another place. The Rebbe says to write. If Shalom, we could say possibly it is this nearly. It seems to me. So you don't have to say this is it. This is for sure. You can put it in a place of like, this is my understanding, how it seems to me. Okay? So the Katamadavar, what's the main reason? Because we see that when you do this and you're writing your chidushim, it creates more learning and more, and you're trying to dig deeper and understand it better in order to give it over and to publicize it. And also it increases your chayas and time of your energy in it and your time and your pleasure in it. We just need somebody. Let's look at it. Okay. So it increases our pleasure in it, in the learning, right? When the Jewish Journal asks me to write a little Dvar Torah, they have these every so often. They recycle the writers for a weekly column of Dvar Torah. So every time I do it, yes, I definitely have to work hard. First of all, because it has to be 250 words only. So that's the hard part. But it gives you a little energy. Okay, what's the nice, what if I have a chance to give over a message and it's going to be published, what's the message I want people to get? Every word is important. And it gives a new energy and a focus in trying to bring out something, an insight that wasn't written before, or wasn't said before, or wasn't, it's not AI, it's just your own understanding. So it gives you more energy to look and geschmack that you're finding a new insight that will inspire somebody to receive Torah in a new way. So that's also when it comes to ourselves, so that increases in our learning, our excitement, our trying to develop an idea when we're learning Torah, because we have to write it for other people. So we're puts more energy into figuring it out, what we're going to write. Also, when it comes to others people, they get jealous. Hey, she wrote it by Torah. I need to do it too. Okay, so that's kina sofrim tar b'chokhmah. The jealousy of sofrim, of writers, increases chokhmah, increases your chokhmah, your wisdom. So this is the good thing about it. So this is very, we see the need for this. People want to see your insights. So you see, people are going to get an insight. It increases your energy, your chayes, and your efforts to kind of get something into writing that will make an impact. Okay, so that is like a human nature. And Hashem wants us. Hashem wants us to put our energies into understanding Torah in a deeper way, in a more relevant way, a meaningful way. Even though it's possible that your chiddush is not exactly fitting with the truth of Torah, like we said before, it's still worth it. Especially if you're not saying, this is what you must do based on what I'm saying, or no halacha, no Torah law, or even if you do write a conclusion, or what your conclusion from this is, you can add the Adati according to my small novel, my small aniyutati, it's my personal understanding. Oh, you can write, you can't rely on it, or etc. Like you can be humble about it and say, this is just my own view, and don't rely on it. You can do more research or whatever, or think about it, but etc. The Rebbe says you could write something that will make it clear that this is your view and your understanding. It's not necessarily exactly, it wasn't handed down to you from Moshe, from Torah, from Mount Sinai. Okay? And to add, when we do advertise and publish things in publications to others, so it's true. It says the nature of a human being is, our human self, is that if you know that it's going to be printed and published, you read it and reread it, you edit it, right? You check it, and you make sure it's really, you're more careful with what you're writing and advertising. So that's right. You're not just going to learn something, wow, that was amazing, and then forget about it. You're gonna write it. You're gonna make sure it's written properly. The Rebbe says Yishar Koach. He's giving encouragement to all those who are learning Torah, keeping mitzvahs behidr beautifully. That use this arousal that you have during the time of the giving of the Torah, this new connection that we have, and this new getting aroused during time of giving of the Torah. We're getting excited to use that energy to make chidushim in Torah. Al pi kolei Torah, according to the rules of Torah. Ulefasem et chidushim, and to publicize the chidushim. Should be Hashem's will to pray and to come close, as much as possible, the Dargat Hamid Vatik, to the level of a seasoned student. So because everything that we are, any student is making a chiddush, a novel insight, it was really in potential given to Moshe Rabbeinu at Mount Sinai. It should be Hashem's will. So this should be Hashem's will, that everything we add in learning Torah and everything we add in the chidushim of Torah, when we come into the time of the giving of the Torah, we should increase. It should increase in our menucha, in our calmness, menuchas nefesh, calm of our soul, menuchas leguf, calm of the body of those who are learning Torah, with a healthy soul, healthy body, calmness of all Jewish people in every place that they are. Especially in all the, so too, not especially, also in the calmness of the entire world. Okay, so those who are learning Torah, and on all these levels, every place, wherever we are, and in the whole world. This will bring, until this will bring to the true menucha, tranquility, calm, peace, a whole calm that will be in the whole world. The Yom Shekulo Shabbat which will happen in time of Geula. It's a day of menucha, of rest, of Shabbos for the whole eternity. Bitula Gulut of Mesa, that will be the no more galus, nullified the galus. Shegalutu hefech achi gadol menucha. Galus is the exact opposite of menucha, of calm and isyashus and settlement of Nesa. And as it says, Oilahem, to the children who were exiled from the table of their father. There's in exile, there's the physical going around like in Galus and having to be burdened with the aspects of Galus, of exile, and which is the opposite of Menucha. And also there's the Galus Pnimi, the internal Galus, internal exile and service of Hashem, okay, where there's that unsettlement in our service of Hashem. That should stop. Kolel Pashut, including Habitul, the Kolel Amot Vestem, that all the concealments of exile should be batal, nullified, gone, poof. All the questions about the details of Geula and Mashiach, questions about Geula and Mashiach comes from Galus, because we were born in exile, we were raised in exile, therefore we're people of exile, Rebbe says, we're in a Galistic condition. All this will be nullified. Will be transformed. Through our true teshuva, coming close to Hashem, right, with our whole heart. How will we come to this teshuva? Through the revelations within ourselves, emphasizing our soul, which is a chelek elokami mamash, right? We put our emphasis, our focus on our neshama, which is a part of Hashem mamash. Our soul is really above exile. Our soul is not really tied and bound by in exile. Our soul is really always in a state of calm. Similar to Shabbos of eternity, of Shabbos of the future. So our soul is really holding there. Our godly soul is not in a state of this burden of galus. Our soul is really above and beyond it. Because all this happens immediately. Miyad l'sheitavot Moshe and which is Yisrael Baal Shem Tov and David. Miyad means immediately. Right? The Rebbe says that Mashiach should come miyad, immediately. And Mem is for Moshe. Yud is for Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, and Dalet is for David, King David, which are all three connected to Shavuos. Moshe gave the Torah. Yisrael Baal Shem Tov it's his Yortzeit, and David HaMelech also is Yortzeit. ותקף מיד ממש תקף לתלמידי חכמים ברכה מיד ראשי תיבות כמזכר לאל ממש באופן של ממשות. So then it says immediately תקף, immediately for a Talmid Chacham is a bracha miyad, which should happen mamish, in a way of mamashut, a way of actualizing it, begashmiut b'chomot, and physicality of the world. באופן שעושים מחומות גשמיut, in a way that we make from the coarseness of this world physicality, and megashmiut from the physicality to make a vessel for spirituality, until the highest level of spirituality, until, so to speak, Hashem himself. Hashem himself is connected to the physicality. Only Hashem can create the physical, something from nothing. And the true and complete redemption through Mashiach, our righteous Mashiach, in a way of, wow, alacrity. To do this quickly. King Mashiach will come and redeem us, each and every one of us. Each and every one of us says to Mashiach, Shalom Aleichem, welcome. Alechem Hashanah Bim. To you, when I say Shalom Alechem, it's plural. Because we're saying hello also to all the souls of all the Jewish people in the generation of Gula, and Mashiach answers to each one, Alechem Shalom, to each one individually, peace unto you. Alechem Hashanah Bim Maseh Nevavdim B'Kol Echad B'Chad Meisrael, Alechem Shalom B'Kol Bnei Yisrael Echdav. So Alechem includes, is for in general for everybody, for all that we've done, and for everything that, which is all the deeds and the services that each one of us did, individually and collectively, and Alechem Shalom, peace unto you, to all the Jewish people also together, and that should be miyad. So this final paragraph, I guess we could, if you want, we could do it a little bit more, but get it chap more. I didn't 100% chap, but basically the point is that we're individually and collectively connecting to Mashiach, and Mashiach is we're greeting Mashiach, and Mashiach is greeting us, both individually and collectively. He answers, the Rebbe says, to each and every one of us, benifat separately, Alechem Shalom. So it's like Mashiach is going to greet each one of us individually also. And to you, as a collective whole, Alechem, he doesn't say Alecha, but he says it to each one individually. It speaks to each one individually, but upon you, Alechem, Shalom, peace. So Hashem is very kind. We're getting very soon. God willing. What would you like to add or ask or anything? And then if we have time, there's a Sikh of Shavuos, which is just a page and a half. Basically one page, and most of it's footnotes. Mm-hmm. But if you want, we could say something about.
I want to say that I need to go soon, and I posted my essay, so I publicized.
Yes, good for you.
I was thinking of you when she was reading. I was thinking of you, and you could do Torah that you bring up.
Mayor Hyde sparked us to do it. It's so amazing that it came right now at this Devar Malchus.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're just in the flow. You're in the flow of the time, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
It was fun, and to go over it and over it. That's true. And
the Shavuos, let's do Shavuos, because Shavuos is Sunday night, so we won't have chance necessarily too much to learn. And the Torah Chadasha Sicha, I remember once we did this in this class, it was incredible. It's a Shavuos Sicha, but it's very long. It's about the revelations of the Torah of Mashiach and Geula. It's a Shavuos Sicha. Okay, so let's do this one that's quick. It's a short, very short sicha, like a welcoming sicha to the people who came back from Tahalucha, people who walked miles and miles. The custom is in Chabad to go out to bring the joy of the Yantiv to other shuls around. So the Rebbe would escort, like with his hand, and watch people leaving, and then this is something the Rebbe said when they came back. He said like this: Maya Siba, שצריך גם כן יום שניתנה בו תורה הוא, שהפירוש לכם הוא שישמח בו במאכל ובמשתה. So he's quoting from the rabbis that the holiday is lachem, for you. Why? Because it's a day Torah was given to us. And what does to you mean? שישמח בו במאכל ובמשתה. We have to, how do we keep the holiday for us? We have to make it, be happy on it. And how do we be happy with it? We rejoice in it through food and through mishter, drinking. So that's the Chachamim say. Now the Rebbe is explaining. The day Torah was given, the Rebbe says, is the connection of godliness with our physical body. The Bnei Yisrael, of the Jewish people, Lachem, it was given to us in a physical body. And with all physicality, because we're bringing up, Hashem is brought himself down into this world, revealed himself in this world, and we can drop the world with us and make it holy. We can add, בגימטריה הקץ, השלמות לגילוי אלוקות למטה בגשמיות לכן, שכבר היה לו ממין זה בשעת מתן תורה, תהיה בגאולה אמיתית והשלמה בקץ הגלות, גם כפי שזה יתבטא בכך שאז תסתיים סעודה גשמית, תתקיים סעודה גשמית, דווקא כמו בהצעה. And this wholeness of godliness being revealed, Hashem revealed himself in the world that started in Matan Torah, in the physical world, will be fully, completely manifest in the true and complete redemption at the end of Galus. And it's going to be expressed also then in the time of Geula that there will be a physical meal, a Suda that it's talked about. We've learned about it, but it's going to be a physical meal. Actually, it will be expressing and be relevant and happening in time of Geula. We can connect this to the fact that Shavuos is the day of the passing, the day of the istalkus, of the elevation of the soul of King David. The day of a yortzeit, the day of a passing, is that tzaddik is actually affecting salvation, Yeshuas, in the land, in the earth, in the physical world. So for sure, on Shavuos, there's something extra happening that's being drawn to King David, who is called King Mashiach. And that should affect the end of exile and the Geula, the true and complete Geula. And also, it's the yortzeit of the Baal Shem Tov, which is Kashur Gam Yuchad Im Geula Mitit Vashema. Baal Shem Tov is also very much connected to the true and complete redemption, right? Because we know the famous story that the Baal Shem Tov asked Mashiach, when are you going to come? And he said, when your well springs, the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov will be spread out to the world, like we see is happening already now. And now it's time of, it's happening, exactly, especially now, even more with AI. AI is also learning Chassidus. Well, לפני דוד בבעל שם טוב, קשור חג השבועות עם מורה ישראל השלישי, משה רבנו. Before this, King David, לפני דוד, before King David and the Baal Shem Tov, Shavuos was connected to Moshe Rabbeinu. שזה מתן תורה, הוא הרי קם לכך שבעצת עניין עמי לכם, גואל ראשון הוא גואל אחרון. Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the first Redeemer, is also called the final Redeemer. So Moshe Rabbeinu, who got the Torah, and he's called the first Redeemer, he's connected to the true and complete redemption also. And through Moshe receiving the Torah, Sinai, Nimshach HaKoach, who received this energy, this power to bring the kids, bring the true and complete redemption immediately. So all those three are connected to Geula. The three tzaddikim, shepherds, the Rebbe calls them, that are connected to Shavuos, they're all connected to Geula. Moshe, who brought the Torah, who's through the Torah we reveal and bring the Geula. He's the first Redeemer, last Redeemer. David HaMelech, who's called David Malka Mashiach, the King Mashiach comes from David HaMelech, and Baal Shem Tov, who teaches Chassidus, and who says through his wellsprings, Mashiach will be revealed. David Humiyad, and they're, like we said, their acronym with their names is Miyad, immediately. This alludes to the Miyad, immediately they're being redeemed. The true and complete redemption comes immediately. Miyad bizman gashmi, immediately in physical time. Gashmiut olam, and it comes in the physicality of the world. Immediately should come the end of exile. נסעו מיד היום בקיבוץ גלויות לכל בני ישראל, בנינו וזקנינו ובנינו ונשינו. The Rebbe says that the second day of Golus, it's second day of Yontiv is in exile, so that should bring the ingathering of the exiles with our children, our daughters. It should happen on Shavuos. The Wolchim will go all together to the Torah, to the Holy Land, Yerushalayim. להר קודש, לבית המקדש השלישי, ושם נעשה לפניך את קורבנות חוטאים תמידים כסדם וסופרים כוחותם will bring the קורבנות them, כולל גם קורבנות של תודה ושמחה, קורבנות of thanksgiving and joy, שמן הסתם יכירו בקשר עם קץ הגאולה, וכל שכן קו החומר, מיחיד שיצא מבית האסורים. there was mentioning the hostages when they come out, they have this chiyuv to give a sacrifice, korban toida. It's a special sacrifice that somebody who is imprisoned and comes out of prison brings. So the Rebbe says we'll all be giving this our own individual sacrifices of Thanksgiving coming out of prison. How much more so a person who actually did come out of prison is going to be giving these sacrifices. The main thing is we continue this connection and gatherings together we'll continue this in the Holy Land in Yerushalayim, in Hatzion, and in the Bais Hamikdash, in the Holy of Holies, where the luchos are, the tablets are, especially at the luchos Yeshana Shenivnu Moshe Rabbeinu, including the first, and especially the first luchos that were given the first time, Moshe Rabbeinu, the ones that he broke. They're also there in the tabernacle and will be in the Bais Hamikdash Hashlishi. ישנם כל עניינים האלה ביחד עם שלושה אומרים מה שישראל בעל שם טוב ודוד מלכה משיח אשר תבוא מיד ממש וגאולה אמיתית והשלמה על ידי משיח צדקנו. So all these things are together with the three shepherds, Moshe, Yisrael, the Baal Shem Tov, and the King David, miyad, in the true and complete redemption through Mashiach. Okay, so that was a very short greeting that I gave to the people who went around walking for miles and miles to bring the joy of the holiday to other shuls, and then came back. We gave them a little taste of Geula. So what would you like? I'm still very excited about the fact that I think that the tide has visibly turned now that the whole world can see that in Eretz Yisrael, our enemies were very much lying, and all the lies that they were showing that Israel is starving the Gazans are being exposed. That it's not true. The Hamas was just hoarding it in
Egypt is starving the Gazans. Egypt is starving them. If anybody's starving there, it's Egypt doing the starving.
So with
Egypt is their friend right next door. They're that was who last officially ruled Gaza. The sovereign nation that officially ruled Gaza was Egypt.
Yes.
So they're the ones.
What's becoming clear?
If anybody's starving, it's
right.
They don't know. They don't want to open the door and let them in. Let them in.
Right. So everybody knows that. What I'm trying to highlight today is that now the whole world, it's like proof to the world, something they didn't see, and something it's the opposite of what they were touting and saying, and they were, crying.
Everything's the opposite of what they're touting.
Right.
Every last thing
now,
they say.
As of yesterday, it became exposed to the entire world. We knew it, that things are lies, but now it became, what's beautiful is that the whole world sees. That's what everyone wants. The whole world should see.
How is that?
The whole world saw October 7th. The whole world sees. I mean, if they want to, but you know what? There's people that still don't want to see it. They're not there are people that are looking at it and say it's a lie. There are still evil. There are still evil people.
Yeah, the Gazans themselves. Yesterday, Puma wants to know what happened. The Gazans themselves have been recording videos and pictures of themselves. First of all, receiving aid from America and saying thank you to America and thank you. Even there was one that said thank you to Netanyahu. So you see that and they had to put themselves in danger because Hamas was telling them not to. The Hamas officials, there was one head of Hamas and I think he's in Jordan. He said, don't go get from the evil people. Don't get free food from the enemy. And they didn't listen, and they went went through the checkpoints of Hamas, and they went and got the food anyway. And they think that, which shows the tide is turning, that Hamas is having their propaganda tactics are not working. And then it culminated with, even though they tried very much to try to pretend like everything wasn't working with the distribution of food. What happened was really in the end, the Gazans stormed the warehouses, one of the warehouses so far, of the Hamas was stockpiling food. And Hamas did kill 5 of them, shot at them, but they were so many, such a mob, that the multitude took over, and they're just thousands maybe of Gazans in this huge warehouse, taking videos, of them taking sacks and sacks and sacks and sacks of flour and food out. Each one they were just grabbing and taking, and nobody's stopping them. So it was like a big slap in the face, showing that the Hamas just was hoarding and hoarding and hoarding incredible amounts of food and just not giving it to them. They were charging them for them. They were taxing them for it, and giving it to them slowly, and trying to create an illusion of starvation when there wasn't. So this is like a change. Like when the Rebbe says terrifying things can happen in a split second, this is like an example of something completely changing around. All this bluff that they've been, and all this propaganda that they've been working on for over a year and for years, just completely shattered. It's completely exposed that they've been lying and cheating and deceiving all along. So that's I'm happy about that.
I have a question. How could they distinguish between the regular whatever citizens there or whatever they are, and the Hamas, like because they're dressed as civilians? How do they know who's who?
Right, that's why it's taken so long for them to do this. I don't know.
But even now, how do they know that just the combatants aren't also just going and getting the food? Like,
right, yeah. But what I'm
well, they blend in, so you really don't know who's who.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, what Hamas was doing is they were dressed with their army clothes and black and masks and guns till now, and storing these and raiding all the trucks and taking them and hiding the food. So one of these storehouses was found or was overrun. Maybe it was taken. That's it. They took all the Gazans got the food. Despite them, they overtook it. It's something that the Rebbe spoke about this. I saw this a long time ago, decades ago. The Rebbe said there's a lot of governments that are just a few, not a lot, but there's similar. In history, you see that when there's been a government where you just have a few ruling people, like one ruling party or family or dictator that hires people to control a huge population, in a matter of seconds it can be overturned. So you can't, like it happened in Tsarist Russia, it happened in Iran with the Shah of Iran, it could happen in any of the Arab states that have dictators. So we see it now happening in Gaza. It happened just now in Syria. Okay, Assad was there for decades. One day it was like in the news, he's gone. So that's the changes. Like the Rebbe says, the Mashiach can come terrifying in a split second. We're seeing the things changing in a split second. So it's very clear to the whole world now that Hamas has lost control, especially since they can't control the population with the food. So that's been one of the difficulties, that the population in Gaza was under the thumb of Hamas because they had to get their food through Hamas till now. That's it. Thank God.